intelligent things to build before AI. As a great presenter, the first thing I have to do is to first read whatever is in the slide, and that's something that I've done. Now, I have a few questions for you people. Okay, so how do you prioritize these things? So I'm just going to read out for those who can't read out. There's a career, family, money, coffee, whiskey, and God, right? These are the fundamental things for us in life. So for those who say career is their first priority, even above, family, raise your hands. Oh, okay, some of the unmarried folks, maybe. For those who say family is a top priority for me, raise your hands. Well, that's quite a lot. For those who say money is the first priority, raise your hand. Oh, nice. For those who say coffee is the first priority, raise your hands. Cool, I was expecting this. For those who say, this is my favorite, for those who say whiskey is my first priority, raise your hands. Whoa, look at that. That's a lot of hands. People ditch the family for the whiskey. That's what I saw. And for those who say God is the top priority, raise your hands. Okay, So looks like you have some of the too many top priorities. So I want to tell you how I was till 2016. So till 2016, testing was my only priority. My family came much lower after even coffee, to the extent that I drained my wife's savings. I drained even my dad's savings just because I was so passionate about testing, and I couldn't stay in a job. People kept firing me because I was quite vocal tester, and I never cared about being retained in a job. And here's something, I just completed 15 years of experience as a tester, 15 years in the industry. I've never had an appraisal so far, because prior to the appraisal, people would fire me. And I've never had this appraisal, so I actually can't connect to some of my own company employees who get nervous when it comes to employees. I would say that I've never had this experience at all. So for me, testing became so high priority that once I failed in one of the online examinations, this is the BBST examination, and then one of my mentor, James Buck, stopped talking to me because Kem Kenner was his friend, and Kem said that Pradeep wasted his time and things like that. And so I locked myself up in the room for 6 months. Only my mom was allowed to come inside the room, serve me food, like the jail kind of stuff. And I studied every damn thing available online about testing. So when I came out with great knowledge about testing, but as a jerk who didn't know how to connect with the human beings. So that's how I was. I got married in 2008. Okay, my wife is not there, so I can make up the number. So I got married in 2008, and 8 years passed by. And so from 2017, my priority has become testing and family. My family has got a promotion. Whiskey is the next thing. Whiskey, money, and coffee is the next thing. God has got lower priority for obvious reasons that, here's the reason, right? When I called for God, whenever I was in a problem in testing, like, Krishna, I called, no, God came. And so I said, okay, you are on low priority. Unless you come and talk to me, I'm not going to give you the priority. So because of the crazy set of things that I've done, I think of testing in a very different way. A lot of people disagree with me, and a lot of people have disagreed with me, and then they started to see some value in what I'm doing, and then they start to subscribe to the way I'm thinking. Like, for example, Rahul Verma and I, we met in 2008, and we disagreed quite a lot on the way things are. The same with, let's say, even a Narayan Raman or anybody like that. And today we have converged, and I think either I have learned or they have not learned. So one of these two things. It's not possible that they have learned. It's possible that I've caught up to their learning. So I'll just try to give a little bit of, kudos to myself on that front. And then my wife still loves me, because even there were many times where imagine a guy who goes to honeymoon and tries to find if there are any testers to meet over there. This is exactly what I did. And the first time I went to Chennai, which is where my wife is from, I get into the train, and they've messed up some of the numbers, and I'm taking photos, and my wife is saying, hey, this is so embarrassing. Why are you doing all of this? And I say, I'm a tester. I have to capture all of these bugs. It helps me in my learning and things like that. So my wife has tolerated me, and she still loves me. I showed this slide to her, and she didn't have any reaction. I was just kind of testing whether she still loves me or not. And she didn't have any reaction. She said, are you going to go and present this in a conference? I said, yeah, sure, I'm going to do that. She said, okay, fine. So this is tested and approved by my wife, okay, to say this. Okay, now intelligent things to build before AI. So in the last Step-In conference, I talked about a few things where I was still learning, and this is still slipping, right? I talked about a similar topic, but I didn't have the depth. Right? So for those of you who have listened to my previous Step-In topic, you actually listened to me when I was half-baked. Even now I am semi-baked, but it's not half, right? Now for me, the fundamental problems in testing is this. Can you read it? Can you read it from back? You can't, right? Good, good. That's why I've used those font size to ensure that I ask this question over to you. So for me, the problems in testing space is estimation, testability, understanding of testing by stakeholders, coverage. Wait a minute, that's God. I think it's a copy-paste error. So for those all who believed in God, close your eyes. Close your eyes and pray to God that gets an autocorrection. See, it happened. Okay, automation, which is God for a lot of people, right? So I see these are fundamental problems that we have not at all solved, right? How many of you face estimation problems even today? It has existed and it will continue to exist. Have you solved it? Have you solved it? Why do you want to go and learn AI when the fundamental problem you have not been able to solve? Why would you want to do that? Right? Okay, testability. Have you been able to go and ask the developer, this is a tool I want to build, this is the testability I want you to add into the code so that it makes easy for me to test? Have you been able to be successful with it? So how many people are unsuccessful with it? Okay, there are actually quite a few hands. So this is another problem that we have not been able to solve. And then the understanding of stakeholders. Do business people understand what you're doing? Yes or no? Good. See, that's like a big, massive problem we are sitting on. And then about the test coverage. Have we been able to really communicate our test coverage? Not the test case coverage. Have we been able to do the test coverage that we wanted to do? Yes or no? Have you been able to run the tests that you want to run for every release? Okay, so we have not solved the coverage problem also. And then about the automation. I'll come to it. So now you can read this. Okay, people from the back. Okay, can you read this? What does it read? What? OFAT, right? OFAT stands for one factor at a time. So this is a lesson that I learned from rapid testing, and I've been applying to a lot of occasions, and it's been great help for me. So let's take one factor at a time and see. Okay, now I'm going to talk about estimation. So I think people have solved the estimation problem, right? Have you been able to come up close to what you would end up doing in your teams? Yes or no? Yes or no? Good. If you have done that, why did you raise your hands when you said, do you still have estimation as a problem? I'll tell you why. Because you have solved the problem, but you have not solved it at the scale that it has to be solved. Now, who overrides your estimates? Who overrides your estimates? You can speak out. They're not there in the room. The managers, the damagers, yes. And the product owners, the BA, the product owners. And how many of you, raise your hands for this. How many of you get a build on Friday evening, 5:30 p.m.? Look at that. Look at that. Talk about that. Let's talk about fundamental problems, not about Selenium, APM, all that stuff. That's just a distraction to keep us not focused on what the real problem is in testing space. Okay, that's what it is. Now, what I want to do is I just don't want to talk about a problem. I want to tell you how I have solved it and how I want to help each one of you solve it to the extent that if somebody overrides our estimation, our test estimation, it has to cause a pain in them, right? Okay, that's what we want because I must tell you this. They are okay if you have a pain, right? You have been taking the pain. So the tester role is more like a mother and a wife. Absolutely, absolutely. They absorb all the stress, and they don't just talk about it at all. At all. And then comes the kids for them as well, right? So the husband tortures, the kid tortures, the in-laws torture, but they never say, I'm going to give up. That's what testers are. Okay, that's what testers are, right? So what I want to do is I want to show you one of the approaches where I'm putting the pain back in the system so that everybody learns about it. For example, revenue impact. So when I do estimation, or when we have started to do estimation, we have started to factor in revenue impact. Now, there is a revenue impact and there's a depth of testing required, and then your quoted, I want you to read that, quoted timeline per browser or quoted timeline for whatever stuff. Now, the way we have built the system is so we say as a testing team, this is what estimate we want, right? If somebody overrides, what happens? We ask them to go and change this. And the moment they change this, it triggers emails to the whole company or whoever is involved saying the testing estimates have been overridden and there is a risk factor that is increasing. Do not come to us if there is a production issue. Right? So the guy, so there is a chief revenue officer, one of these projects. So the chief revenue officer, I said, look, boy, you come to me when there's a production issue. Do you come to me when there's no production issue? No. Which means you care about me, I care about you. So one of the things you have to do is, whenever you want me to give an estimate, I will ask you to come up, I'll ask you to change these things. For example, I'll say, oh, you don't want this 0.5 hours? You wanted this to be 0.25 hours? Fine. The moment this is changed, there is a revenue impact. Based on the revenue impact, it triggers an email to his boss that there is a risk, calculated risk that we have taken. Right? Now, the reason, we all know about it. Is this something that you don't know? Is this something that you don't know? A yes or no? Yeah. Are you spellbound by the Pradeep already? No, right? So this is a concept that you know. This is a concept you might have verbally communicated, but you have to put the pain back in the system in the right way for people to feel the pain and then start reacting. Now you know what happens? Now after this is done and people start to edit it, then they realize, oh my God, I'm risking myself. Now I'm making testing. This is the true test. It's not even test. What is the famous thing that we are saying these days? Shift lefter. That put right indicator and shift left, that one, right? So this is the one. We are not shifting left, this is nudging left. Right? Hey, bugger. You are causing me the pain, you take the pain. Because people have to own up testing, they're not owning up testing. They're not owning up testing, they are just like, oh, it's like a necessary evil for a lot of people. Okay, depth of testing required. Now, okay, we say, look, if you change the estimate, we can, the only way to factor that in is we can change the depth of the testing. So if we change a high, a deep testing for a direct revenue impact to a shallow testing, you are not going to get the coverage that you want. So this way, people in the business, in the technology, are understanding that this pain that I give to these people is coming back, and our timelines, that quoted timelines, and we are doing an analysis of quoted timeline versus actual timeline versus approved timeline, and we are showing them a graph. So on the testability part of it, speaking of that, there's a water bottle over here. It's crying for me. So speaking of the testability part of it, so in your test plan, do you write documents these days? The test plan documents? Yes, no? There's one rare case, there's a startup still trying to figure out revenues or something like that, just kidding. So how much of focus is there on the testability? When you get in a requirement, you ask questions about testability every time. How can I test this? What have you built for me to test this? Is this automatable, right? And that's a question we don't ask. Now, one of the things that I've tried to do is that, having realized that this is a problem, I've been building tools for testers to improve the testability. For example, if you want to test for app performance, for an Android or an iOS device. You would certainly need some help from the developers, some instrumentation, some integration with the code, and things like that. What I try to do is I try to make it easy and try to build tools which will start capturing things like, it starts taking screenshots, so you don't need to take screenshot. So one of the most times I've affected is how much time goes into documentation, right? We do 1 hour of work and 5 hours of documentation, which is why manual testing is boring. Okay, agreed? Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Right. So if you're doing so much of documentation, what I decided to do is to take that documentation away from people and say, let there be a tool which acts like a personal assistant and starts recording everything that the tester is doing and starts representing, saying, so this is the first screen, this is where I entered the phone number, that's what I did, an orientation change and all of that stuff. Now you don't need to explain exploratory testing to anybody. Okay, people can't say, oh, you did exploratory testing, I don't even know what you did. Well, there is screenshots, there is the logs, there is flows, there is everything that you want for. And, looking at the performance, profiling part of it, one of the biggest reasons why, am I audible? No, one of the biggest reasons why manual testers have not got the credit is because they're not technical enough, right? And I think what we should do, but they're functional enough. They know the functionality. They know how business works. And so one of those things that we need to do to improve the testability is to integrate tools with them, to let them do what they're good at doing. And then we pull out this data and analysis and show to people saying that this is what happened in the background while you were doing this functional flow. Now let's come to understanding. Right? I already asked this question to you about do other stakeholders understand you? And that's the reason why I gave a beautiful example of saying the job of a tester is like a mother and a wife. Nobody in the home understands them, right? And so one of the things that you would have faced this, right? Why did this bug go into production? Have you answered those questions? If you have not answered those questions, you're not a tester. Have you answered those questions? I want to know, what has your answer been? Can somebody brave enough stand and say, what has your answer been? Brave enough, I said, so nobody's standing up. Okay, not so. Oh, there is a brave guy. It was my mistake. Okay, tofa kabul karo. Oh my goodness. Okay, where there was genuinely your mistake, you saying your mistake is great. But you know the way the others see, Abba, I would have spent half an hour to convince this guy it was his mistake, right? I think if people are talking about quality as a collective responsibility, they have to own it up. It's not just your mistake. It is not your mistake. What, you went to a movie and you came back instead of testing and that's why that bug went to production? Is that what you did? No, right? The software was so buggy that you were finding other bugs. And this bug didn't get your attention. Right? No, not true. What is there to clap for that? What is there to clap for that? This is the eternal truth. What is that? I'm so concerned. Right? Okay, so one of the things that I started to do is I started to plot the rate at which they were giving builds and in parallel showing them the production leakage defects. And I showed them that the majority of the production defect leakage that they were crying about happened during this area where they were continuously giving builds. What is sanity testing, pa? What is sanity testing? Who are able to complete sanity testing, first of all? Before I complete the sanity testing, there's one more build. Okay, true, right? I mean, what is this? I mean, we talk about all the great gyan about continuous engineering, continuous delivery. It's all a bullshit to keep our jobs alive. Seriously, that's what it is. We have kept our jobs alive. If we don't use those stuff, we can't keep our jobs alive. So going back to this one, when we started to plot this, people were like, this is again putting the pain back. Stop. Now I said, let's look at this area. What kind of production defect leakage did you get? We had time to test. What did you get here? And what did you get here? And let's not just do it just for Android. Let's do it for all builds, all types of software that you've been giving to us. After this, the way they started talking to us changed. right? They wouldn't just say, oh, there's a production defect. They'll say, let's investigate it together, right? Because they know I put the pain back. Right? Okay, most of us don't put the pain back into the system. So, and then here is something else. How many times have people asked you whether we can release? You have said a no and still they have released. Right? Okay, look at this, right? It's so awesome. So what I did is I put the pain back to the CEO. I put the pain back to the topmost decision maker and said, take it. We are telling you based on the critical identified test cases, you can't go live, right? If you go live, you are making that decision, Mr. CEO, not me. So don't come to me if you have bombed on your own decision, right? So that's about the putting the pain back into the decision makers. So today decision makers are like we have become squeeze balls, pam, pam. Stress busters. I'm very stressed. Call the QA, right? Which is. Let's have a conversation with them. That's the kind of mindset that's prevailing. I mean, if you guys are connecting so well to this and laughing about this and clapping about this, that actually tells the industry problem. It's because this is not a stand-up comedy. I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about projects. I'm talking about projects that we have core executed, right? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So going on this now I'm going to attack a little bit on the tester side, right? So I know a lot of testers who say, I need analytics, I need that access, I need this access, but I don't see people doing much about it. So one of the things that we have tried to do is we have tried to connect to the analytics, and every time a test or something fails, we show what is going to be the business impact for it. So we put the impact back on the business. So every time we put the business impact part, where the business will go? Where will the business go? Loud, help me. I'm having water. Come on. Where will the business go and talk to? VP engineering, right? The head of engineering, correct? Yeah. What happened all of a sudden? Okay, lunch clock kicked in, right? So they would go to the head of engineering and say, why is it this way? And that's when the head of engineering makes this awesome decision. I think the QA should report to us. Not to the product. So that we can squeeze and control and tune in such a way that we don't get this noise levels increased in the system. Now, I am absolutely supportive of great collaboration, working with the teams and all of that stuff. But I have been extremely disappointed that the technology teams are the only teams who have found a good use of the QA and the testers, and the product teams and the business teams have not yet found a good use, and it is also our responsibility to do that, which is the reason why I'm trying to build all of this stuff. Which is the reason, because now the engineering also can't refute. Now when I say this, I'm not saying that I as a tester work against people. My job is to be a mirror. If you're ugly, you're ugly. You pay me money to tell you ugly. But the moment I tell you ugly, you are saying, hey, you are wrong. Right? That's my job. I mean, I was fired in Motorola for finding too many bugs. Can you believe this? They hire a tester. They ask not to. Let me tell you this, right? They had this Six Sigma policy. Six Sigma, right? It's not Six Sigma. 98% of the test cases should pass. When you have good testers on the team, they will find bugs, and your 98% of test cases will not pass. Right? So why hire testers? So I was fired, and the guy who replaced me, his name was Pandu, right? They called Pandu. See, how sorry-looking name, right, for that guy. Hey, Pandu, this fellow was finding too many bugs. We couldn't release. So you are now here. Execute the test case. What did Pandu do? Pandu is still in possibly a job there somewhere. I'm out of job, right? Okay, so that's what happens, and we have to put the pain back into the business. So now coming to coverage part of it. So this has been a very, very important issue for me. For me as a tester, I think of it like a chess game. Okay, testability and coverage are my pawns. I have to protect them, and I have to do a great job with them. So they are like my queen and my horse. I have to be able to show value through the coverage part of it. And so one of the things that, I know you would have seen the mind maps and all of that stuff, but I think the theme about this is that putting the paint back on. So we say, this is what it takes to cover whatever you want us to cover. Now then we start knocking, saying that the red and the orange and the blue and the green, saying, if we knock this off, what's the business impact? If we knock this off, what's the business impact? Okay, so, and here is something about an interesting practice that I found. I wanted to showcase this. How many of you, I just tried to switch back, right? Okay, how many of you know equivalence class partitioning? Just raise your hands. Have you been able to apply it? Our industry, well, okay, can somebody please come and talk about how AI can help us? AI can help us in helping these human beings learn the fundamental of equivalence class partitioning. How many of you have a certification? Right? Okay, some of you would have answered this question about equivalence class partitioning. Your theory to practical application is just phenomenal. I'm blown away by it. I'm just like great fans of you, I'm just great fans of you. We have so many techniques and approaches that we don't need to invest our next 50 years to invent any new technique, any new approach. We just need to apply. We just need to apply what we have already learned, which is becoming a big problem for us because A, the way we have learned it is wrong, or B, we don't know how to apply it. So the thing that I was showing is I was blown away. This is not my work. This is not my work. I'm not taking credit of it. This is in one of our teams. They put this way of doing equivalence class partitioning, and every star that you see there, it's not a star for people from far, is basically how they would map out the equivalence class partitioning, and they really executed the equivalence class partitioning. I was like, what? Which world are you from? How can you do that? Will you be allowed in conferences like this where testers don't implement equivalence class partitioning? Right? Okay, so that's the kind of the mindset. And then in terms of the coverage part of it, right? We need to build, one of the things that I did about a few years ago is to hire a data science team to start giving visualizations and dashboards, which can help us show what we have covered and what we have not covered. And I think this is a dashboard that needs to be in front of every tester. So the future that I am looking at is in a different way, which is what I'm about to share. Now let's talk about automation, right? I know you've been waiting for this. I just want to say that, that's it, right? So the last time I wrote a script was about 12 years ago. So I'm not your automation guy. There are some real great people out there who can connect you. Tomorrow, Rahul Verma is speaking. You should definitely be on it. He is the expert on automation. But I am a very good observer of automation projects that happen across the companies. And okay, this is what, whoa, look at that. So the PDF didn't work. I was asked to convert my Keynote file to a PPT file, and I thought we are done with PPTs, and this is what has happened. So, okay, great. Now I just want to read out, what I've written. So in an automation project, how much time is actually spent on framework? Roughly. You want to come up with numbers? How much percentage? A good percentage of it? How much percentage is spent on the actual scripting? What? Okay, you have the numbers in mind. How much percentage is actually spent on convincing somebody that the test environment is not great? How much percentage is that? The majority of the percentage is about talking to people and getting the base test environment. But, however, the project managers don't bother about the test environment. Where is your script? We were supposed to be completed with automation by this time, right? So, no, sir, there's an environment issue. No, I'm sorry. You were supposed to complete. It was your job to go get all of these things done. So I think that the scripting part is 20%. The framework part is 20%. So that leaves 60%, right? 60%. 40% goes in people issues. Because if you have two people thinking about the framework, right? Big ego clashes will happen. My framework is the best one. No, 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 in your framework, this is not there, right? Hey, this is anonymous, okay, person, okay, don't take it, okay, personally, I'm just trying this, because we had one such conversation, right? So there is a framework level, there is a lot of, okay, talking about the, whose framework is the best framework to implement. In a 6-month project, okay, 3 months goes in first, these both, okay, converging together and saying, okay, these are your parts, these are, okay, my parts, now it's our framework. Right? For them to fall in love, it takes 3 months. Right? And then after all of this comes the scripting part. The junior engineers who have just got into automation after not knowing automation and been in manual testing are waiting for when will the scripting start? When will the scripting start? It starts after these people have fallen in love. Then comes the 20% of the scripting work. But by the time that they do, then the logistics of the environment is not there, and then once you think you're done, what happens? You run. They want to see all pass, right? I know testers who have changed the script to make a fail as a pass. Well, I'm not, what are you saying? Well, you haven't seen that. You haven't worked with testers, is it? And like days in, days out, this is what happens across the industry. So I've seen that. And I'm like, oh my God, the whole objective is lost that way. Right? And then after all of this in the cafeteria, they think about, hey, what is the word test doing in test automation? Correct? There is no testing, there is only automation. There is automation. And I know the joy of business owners when they see something running without the tester, they're like, oh. You don't need to switch on TV for reality shows. You'll see those business owners, I haven't seen this. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, what do you think is happening there? That's a script failure. You're not able to see. There was a genuine script failure, and it was showing green and just saying, superb, fantastic work. Right? This is something that we have seen day in, day out. So that's what happens. So to me, these automation projects, they lose the essence of testing. So here are my prayers. You know what a prayer is? A prayer is like, oh God, right? So the prayers for the community, for the industry, okay, is this. Let's put the fun back in testing. Let's put the fun back in testing. Who will put the fun back in testing? The fun of the testing has been removed. The fun of testing has been removed. The fun of manual testing is much more removed than in automation. Now with AI coming in, the fun of automation will be removed and put into AI. Right? So people say, okay, now all of those people who want to, if you constrain jobs and the number of jobs on AI tester grows up, right? Nobody would want to be an automation tester. Say, please, I want to be an AI tester. I want to be an AI tester. So we are continuously removing fun from the types of testing that we are doing, and we are putting it in somewhere else where there is where that's not fun at all, right? Because if you see the fundamental, this conference is happening like decades. There have been multiple conferences across the industry. We have been talking to testers. And decades and decades, we are still saying basic estimation is a problem, basic coverage is a problem, stakeholders are not understanding testing. When will we fix all of those things? When do you plan to fix all of those things? Well, as long as it remains, job remains. That's a different story. So we have kept it alive. We have kept it alive, right? Okay, so one of the things that I am working towards is to put the fun back in testing. If you don't get an orgasm when you find a bug, testing has failed. The industry has failed, right? And that's what you would have got when you found the first bug, right? The first bug, all the something happening in my body, yeah, right? AI is okay, that's what it is, right? AI is an excuse to wake up. I see a lot of companies today saying, oh, we're going to build AI-related stuff, and the media is very successful to drive this thought in you that AI is going to change the world, right? Which is also what I was talking, because I was part of media those days. But now, as a practitioner, I think that AI is an excuse for people to wake up and solve fundamental problems, because they have to show some value addition. So they'll pick up, hey, that estimation problem has been there for a long time. Let's pick that up. right? So then they will say, now they will convince you that AI solved the problem. AI didn't solve the problem. AI is a tool, not your job. It's so people who call themselves selenium testers. Are you testing selenium? Are you testing selenium? You're not testing selenium? Then you don't even know what a testing is. And you call yourself selenium. So people have been obsessed to attaching them to the tools. I'm a hammer carpenter. Right? I'm a hammer carpenter. I am a spanner mechanic. How stupid it sounds. That's the way it's sounding to me every time somebody comes to me and say, I'm a selenium tester, right? So for me, I think, but the industry will convince you to make you think that AI is your job. AI is not your job. AI is like your puppy who should come and help you when you're stressed. Not that the puppy becomes your full-time job, but that's how people be. So your job is to be a tester. If you're solving a problem, solve it in the way world can use it. I think so. Every time I go in as a consultant to see what the companies are doing, what problems they're facing, I see that there are some amazing solutions, but it's like locked in one team for some reason that it's not going out even within the company. Now, the first thing is your first conference or your first community is within your company. All your company testers need to know what's happening. What are the good practices that you're using? So I think, and then you should put it out in the world. And don't build solutions that only work for you. Right? Okay. Don't build solutions that just work for you and your team. Build it in a way that can work across with a slight modification to their context. If you build like that, you will start thinking tools. You will start thinking product. And I can tell you this, you people building products out of all that you have already achieved in life is what is going to transform your life. Because in one of the conferences, there was a panel debate, which usually happens about AI and how it's going to impact the tester. The only question where I asked, which is like your representative, is I said, all that is fine. When will a tester become rich? Never. So I think for those of you who raised hands for both the testing and the money and the value that you want to create, I think you should build tools, you should build products and put it out to the world. I'm sure there will be people who will use it, appreciate the value of it. Like for example, today I had a conversation about somebody saying, "Oh, you have a condition testing." There is nobody testing on conditions because their base functional itself is not working. So that's one of the things. And open sourcing the thinking layer in testing. If you have a great approach to think, now I'm saying all of these things. So all of these things that I spoke about, I'm going to put it out as a free product in a couple of months. Free. You can now configure. You can configure the email IDs of those revenue impact guys, and the moment there is a change that happens, it triggers an email. That will be a configurable, simple thing for you to use. So I'm making that free for you. You also go back to your companies and find some of the great things that you have done and put out a blog post or put out something out to the world of this is the solution to the problem, or productize it and ask your company to promote that as well, because that will certainly give them more business. That's the end of my prayer. Thank you very much for listening.